South Korea is the Republic of Chicken. Few would dispute this. In this small country, there are more chicken restaurants than McDonald's stores worldwide. Seeing 5 or 6 chicken restaurants lined up on a single street is not an unusual sight. In this fiercely competitive chicken market, the company that has risen to the top is none other than Master Chicken. Master Chicken has approximately 2,300 directly managed and franchised locations combined. They are so widespread in every corner of local shopping districts that it's difficult to open more franchises. The profit margin and royalties they earn from exclusively supplying raw materials to their franchisees are enormous. However, Korean franchises have an odd urge to endlessly increase the number of franchise locations. Therefore, as the chicken market became saturated, they ventured into the pizza market. Choi Dae-ho, the chairman of MCK Group, created a new corporation under his son Choi Myung-ho, and launched a new pizza brand. They then heavily advertised on TV while recruiting franchisees. Backed by over a decade of franchise know-how and capital, Meister Pizza, despite being a latecomer to the pizza industry, was able to quickly seize market share. They established directly managed stores in the heart of the city and franchise locations in every bustling neighborhood. As rumors spread that business was booming, franchise inquiries poured in from everywhere. At this rate, they could reach the top 3 in the pizza industry within a year. After his university class ended, Choi Myung-ho headed to the company in a car driven by his chauffeur. When will I ever be done with this damn university? After what happened during his freshman year, he didn't really want to go back to school. He wasn't particularly interested in studying, and he could learn management from his father anyway. Then the head of the business division, who was also in the car, said, "The chairman has high expectations." "I know. That's why I'm going." Chairman Choi Dae-ho of MCK Group didn't even graduate high school but built his empire from the ground up by selling chicken. Perhaps because he regretted not being educated himself, he wanted his children to graduate from top universities. So to please his father and to smoothly inherit the company, he needs to get a degree from Korea University. Returning to school after a long break wasn't very interesting. The only thing he liked about it was running into Shin Yuri again. He had met countless women during that time and still was seeing some. She really is beautiful. If it weren't for what happened back then, she would have been mine a long time ago. While thinking about Shin Yuri, the head of the business division was reporting sales figures beside him. Choi Myung-ho nodded absent-mindedly and then asked, as if something had just occurred to him, "How are the sales at the 15th Paju location?" The head of the business division looked up the sales report. Last month's sales were 1,657,301. This meant they weren't even selling 1 or 2 pizzas a day. Meister Pizza inherited Master Chicken's franchise management know-how as is. That know-how included how to handle franchisees. One of the easiest ways for the head office to make money was to encourage successful franchisees to relocate to a larger space, forcing them to redo the interior. They even called him directly and made several requests, but the franchisee consistently refused. So they defiantly opened a directly managed store right in front of it. One might wonder if it was really necessary to go this far, but it was a kind of warning. It was to clearly show other franchisees what kind of disadvantages they would face if they refused the head office's instructions, thereby disciplining them. Tell them to extend the discount event at the directly managed store for a few more months. Understood. How much longer can they hold out? Choi Myung-ho smirked. They should have just listened when they had the chance. As the car entered the company headquarters, he saw a man lingering in front. Recognizing him, Choi Myung-ho said irritably, "Stop the car." The Meister Pizza headquarters was located in Sedangdong. Leaving the subway station, Kim Jae-hak talked with Kang Jin-hoo on the phone while walking. "Are you there already?" "Yeah. I just left. It'll take about 20 minutes, so let's meet in front." "Hey. Take your time." Arriving at the headquarters building, Kim Jae-hak stood on the street and smoked a cigarette. The Meister Pizza store occupied the first and second floors of the building. Perhaps because it was lunchtime, the store was filled with nearby office workers and housewives. Everyone looked happy as they ate pizza. When he came for the franchise agreement and training, he was happy to see this. The fact that the headquarters directly managed store was doing so well meant that franchise locations could also succeed. But now he felt strangely bitter. While waiting for Kang Jin-hoo, he wandered around the front for a moment when a car entering the parking lot suddenly stopped. The back door opened and Chai Myung-ho, the CEO of Meister Chicken, got out. Oh. It's the franchisee again. He had seen him during the training and when he came to protest the opening of the directly managed store. He was even dragged away by employees last time. Chai Myung-ho said with a welcoming tone, "You must be uncomfortable, so what brings you all the way out here without even a word?" Well, that is. For some reason the words wouldn't come out. Chai Myung-ho affectionately took his arm. "It's chilly out here, don't just stand on the street, let's go inside and talk." "Oh no." Before he could say anything, Chai Myung-ho took Kim Jae-hak inside. As they entered the building, the employees in the lobby stood up and bowed. The two went up to the CEO's office with the employees. Chai Myung-ho continued to speak with a smile. "If you were going to come all the way here, you should have contacted me beforehand. In the future, if you have anything to say, contact me directly. Let me put my number in your phone." Kim Jae-hak absent-mindedly handed over his phone. Chai Myung-ho took it, glanced at the screen and instead of dialing, tossed it onto the desk. "Luckily you didn't have the recorder on. These days if you say anything, everyone yells about abuse of power." "Excuse me." With a gesture the employees locked the door. And at that moment his expression changed drastically. Chai Myung-ho glared at Kim Jae-hak with a chilling look and said, "What makes this cripple think he can come crawling back here again? I warned you last time not to come back, didn't I? I said if you came one more time I'd shut down your franchise. Do my words mean nothing to you?" Startled, Kim Jae-hak instinctively backed away. I. Like a rat cornered, he looked around for a way to escape, but the door was locked, and the employees in front seemed to be blocking the way. Backing away further, his back hit the wall. Chai Myung-ho sneered as he approached, grabbed his collar and tapped his prosthetic leg with his toe. He probably knew it was a prosthetic. Was he doing this while knowing it wasn't just to inflict pain, but to humiliate him? The car was heading towards Sedangdong. Taekyu was with me and bodyguards were also accompanying us. The driver was a new bodyguard and team leader Lee Cheol-jin was sitting next to him. As I finished my call he said, "So, you're visiting the franchise headquarters because of your senior from your military service?" "Yes. He's a close friend." Indeed, the bonds of friendship forged among men in the military are some of the longest lasting. I asked casually, "Speaking of which, team leader, where did you serve in the military?" He suddenly clamped his mouth shut, having been talking animatedly just moments before. "Was it the Marines or Special Forces?" He still didn't answer. Taekyu, looking curious, kept pressing. "Could you have been a North Korean infiltrator or a secret agent? Or maybe a foreign mercenary?" Faced with the persistent questioning, he reluctantly opened his mouth. "I was a public service worker." We were all taken aback by his words. A public service worker? How can someone with a body like a Terminator be a public service worker? Team leader Lee Cheol-jin said almost defensively, I injured my back while working out back then, so I had no choice. Anyone who has had a military physical knows that if your overall condition isn't great, you get a grade 3. But if one specific part of your body is bad, even if the rest is fine, you get a grade 4. Athletes who seem healthier than the average person often end up with a grade 4. It seemed like a similar case. Taekyu was overjoyed. "Wow. Team leader, you were a public service worker too. Come to think of it, you're my public service senior. As a fellow public service worker, I'm proud." For some reason his face seemed to turn a little red. I patted Lee Cheol-jin's shoulder and said, "Serving as a public service worker is also faithfully fulfilling your duty to defend the nation. There's nothing to be ashamed of." "Yes." While we were talking, we arrived in front of the Meister Pizza headquarters. We got out of the car. But even after looking around, Kim Jae-hak was nowhere to be seen. That's strange. He definitely said he was here already. Maybe he went to the bathroom. Call him. I called, but he didn't answer. Suddenly, a bad feeling flashed through my mind. Could it be? Let's go inside. We entered the headquarters building with the bodyguards. Like most office buildings, you needed to scan a keycard to pass through the speed gate to get to the upper floors. An employee in the lobby greeted us and asked, "How may I help you?" Another employee, who had been staring at my face for a moment, said in a surprised voice, "Are you perhaps Yeo Kong-jin-hoo?" I smiled and said, "Yes, that's right. Is the CEO here right now?" "He is here, I'll let him know right away." I stopped him as he reached for the phone and asked, "Is he with a guest right now?" "Yes." He just went upstairs with a franchisee. I knew it. I said to him, please take us to the CEO's office immediately. Sensing that something was wrong, he reached for the phone again. I need to inform him first. Then team leader Lee Cheol-jin stepped forward, snatched the phone from his hand and picked up the keycard lying on the table. We'll borrow this for a moment. Yes. Lee Cheol-jin instructed another bodyguard, stay here and make sure they can't make any calls upstairs. Understood. Before the employee could stop us, we scanned the keycard and passed through the speed gate. Fortunately, the elevator was on the first floor, so we got on immediately. Where's the CEO's office? It's usually on the top floor. I pressed the button for the top floor, the 7th floor. Luckily, the CEO's office was indeed on the 7th floor. We tried to open the door, but it was locked. Lee Cheol-jin stepped forward. I'll open it. He backed up a bit and then kicked the door hard. Whack. It wasn't a steel door but a plywood one. With one kick, the doorknob shattered and the door flew open. The young man inside turned around in surprise. Who the hell are you? At Chai Myung-ho's question, Taekyu said as if he had been waiting for this moment. It's me, you son of a bitch. When I looked at Taekyu with a what the heck was that expression, he looked thrilled. I've always wanted to say that line at least once in my life. Yeah, good for you. A person should do what they want to do in life. Who are these guys? Get them out of here. Yes, sir. Then the employee in front rushed forward. Lee Cheol-jin grabbed the employee by the collar and lifted him effortlessly as if it was nothing. Gah. The other employees, seeing this, seemed shocked and froze in their spots. I went inside and looked around. As expected of a CEO's office, the interior was well furnished with expensive imported furniture. But what caught my eye first was Kim Jae-hak, his back against the wall with a terrified expression, and Chai Myung-ho standing in front of him. He was grabbing the other man's collar with his right hand and stepping on his right foot with his left. He probably knew it was a prosthetic leg. Was he doing that while knowing to inflict not just pain but humiliation? Taekyu, who followed me in, said, this bird brain is still soiling himself out of fear. Chai Myung-ho finally recognized me and looked flustered. Kaekong-jin who? I said as calmly as possible. I'll give you 5 seconds to explain what's going on. Chai Myung-ho looked utterly incredulous. I guess he wouldn't have expected me to suddenly appear in this situation. I didn't expect to run into him like this again either. I walked over to Kim Jae-hak. Are you alright? Are you hurt? Why yeah. I'm okay. Thankfully it didn't look like he had been hit. I looked at Chai Myung-ho and said, 5 seconds are up. We'll head out for today but I'll see you later. You can look forward to what happens next. As I was leaving with Kim Jae-hak, Chai Myung-ho shouted from behind. Wait a minute, senior. I turned around and said, who's your senior? Submit your resignation letter like you promised before, you bastard. We returned to OTK company. Having been contacted, Ellie arrived from the building right next door. Kim Jae-hak picked up the coffee cup that the secretary had brought. His hand holding the cup trembled as if his excitement hadn't yet subsided. He forced a smile. Oh, what's wrong with me? Just a moment. I was surprised seeing him like this, but I pretended to be calm and said, it's okay, drink slowly. The Kim Jae-hak I knew in the military was the type to speak his mind. He gave clear and precise instructions to the junior soldiers, and if a senior soldier acted out of line, he would stand up to them or get angry. The old him would have fought back even while being hit, grabbing their collar and fighting to the end. But earlier he had been huddled up like a child being scolded by his parents. He was always energetic and confident. Did his disability change his personality too? So much has changed since he lost his leg. After hearing what happened inside the headquarters building, Ellie spoke. There wasn't any direct physical assault, but locking the door and creating a threatening atmosphere alone constitutes intimidation or assault. Of course, they'll deny it if an investigation starts. Taekyu said, judging by how they took his phone first to prevent recording, they've probably already deleted the CCTV footage and gotten the employees to coordinate their stories. I thought that was highly likely as well. It's not uncommon for CEOs of small to medium-sized franchises to verbally abuse or assault their drivers, secretaries, or franchisees. Even Chai Myung-ho's father, Chai Dae-ho, was sued for swearing and verbally abusing a franchisee while visiting their store. It ended without charges due to lack of evidence, though. Like father, like son, learning these things from the start. That young punk is rotten to the core already. Ellie looked at me and asked, "You're not going to let this slide, are you?" Judging by her voice and expression, she seemed quite angry. Even this side of her is cute. I nodded. Of course not. For now, we'll deal with this issue separately later. The stage where we could resolve things amicably is over. When I think about it, there's no need to be so attached to saving his franchise. There are plenty of other ways I can help him. I could arrange a comfortable job for him, or even buy him a building so he can live off the rental income. But even if his life became easier, his once shattered pride would never be restored. To others, it would just look like he got lucky because he served in the military with me, and there would be gossip behind his back. If the opponent wields a sword, we must also pick up a sword and fight back. What I need to do is give him the sword. Take, you said with his arms crossed. So, we have no choice but to use that method, huh? He probably knew it from the start too. The reason he hadn't said anything until now was probably because he was waiting for me to bring it up first. I said to Kim Jae-hak, "Do you want to sign a franchise agreement with me?" "Huh? What are you talking about?" I thought of the pizza I had in Silicon Valley. How about the first Korean branch of M Pizza? In South Korea, chicken is the overwhelmingly preferred choice for eating out. However, the situation is a bit different in the United States. A world-renowned American economist recently stated in his published book, "If forced to choose between chicken and pizza for dinner, who in their right mind would choose chicken over pizza?" highlighting the American fondness for pizza. As such, the market is already saturated, with Dice Pizza, Pizza Hut, and Mama John's Pizza establishing a strong three-way competition. M Pizza boldly threw its hat into the ring. The strategy consists of three main parts. First, automate most of the process using conveyor belts and robots. Invest generously in high-quality ingredients, thanks to the saved labor costs. Finally, deliver piping hot pizza to customers by baking it one more time in an oven truck during delivery. This business strategy proved effective, earning M Pizza praise as the most innovative and delicious pizza. It even topped a recent consumer preference survey. I had it a few times when I was in Silicon Valley, and it was definitely delicious. Milo Freeman, the CEO of M Pizza, flew directly to Korea after receiving my call. We happily greeted each other after a long time. Originally, M Pizza was expanding its business network throughout California, centered around Silicon Valley. The Big One earthquake that struck then was both a crisis and an opportunity. M Pizza immediately suspended sales at nearby locations and engaged in relief efforts. Most of M Pizza's branches have automated manufacturing processes, allowing them to produce 5 pizzas per minute, or 300 pizzas per hour. Producing pizzas non-stop 24 hours a day as if from a factory, the oven trucks delivered the freshly made pizzas to shelters and relief centers. Pizza is American soul food. Refugees, finding warmth and comfort in the hot pizza amidst the difficult situation, could feel a moment of happiness. Although they suffered significant losses at the time, this greatly enhanced M Pizza's brand image. Like most companies in Silicon Valley, M Pizza had to relocate its headquarters. They re-established themselves in Chicago, a major city in northeastern Illinois. Since relocating, Milo has been rapidly expanding stores across the United States. To achieve this, they secured ample funding and recently opened branches in New York and are aggressively marketing. From what I heard, his co-founder Max is incredibly busy traveling between stores. Milo asked me, "You're thinking of launching M Pizza in Korea?" "That's right." I told him about the background of my sudden decision. Milo nodded. Even before this, the MCK Group contacted us several times regarding entering the Korean market. Their chairman even visited our headquarters in person. We were surprised by that. Really? I could roughly understand the situation. Each country has different tastes and dining habits. For example, in Korea, KFC primarily sells chicken and burgers, but in China they also sell rice and porridge. McDonald's Bulgogi Burger and Dice Pizza's Bulgogi Pizza are also menus created specifically for the Korean market. Furthermore, they need to thoroughly manage everything from store interiors and food taste to sourcing and distributing ingredients. Therefore, it's common to enter the market by establishing a joint venture with a company that knows the local market well and already has a distribution network. For instance, Starbucks, the world's largest coffee chain, established a joint venture with the Shinseki Group in Korea, the Tata Group in India and Amherst in Eastern Europe. The same applies to Baskin-Robbins 31, Dunkin' Donuts and Shake Shack. M-Pizza is currently the hottest pizza franchise in the United States, and they possess unique technology that other brands can't easily imitate. Simply bringing it to Korea would practically guarantee success. So, after unsuccessful negotiations, they launched their own brand? Come to think of it, the taste did seem a bit similar. Taekyu nodded. I felt that too. Now that I think about it, they must have copied the recipe. I hadn't paid much attention, thinking all pizza tastes more or less the same, but if he's saying this, it's likely true. Milo smiled. They can copy the taste, but they can't copy the core technology. Naturally, they couldn't copy the pizza robots and oven trucks. Taekyu asked, but wouldn't oven trucks be unsuitable for Korea's delivery environment? I don't know about the rural areas, but delivery in the metropolitan area would be difficult due to traffic congestion. Milo confidently said, we solved that problem recently. New York is notorious for its skyscrapers and narrow, congested streets. Truck delivery in such a place was impossible. So, using their accumulated technology, they created a motorcycle with an oven box attached to the back. It's called the oven bike. The oven box can bake up to 3 pizzas at once, and just like the oven truck, it automatically preheats 4 minutes before arrival based on map information. What if an order for more than 3 pizzas comes in? Milo answered easily, then we can use 2 oven bikes or an oven truck. Oh, I see. Operating the oven bikes has been successful. New Yorkers can now enjoy pizza with melted cheese and warm crust anytime. As you know from the reports, M-Pizza is rapidly increasing its branches in the United States. With you involved, securing funds won't be a big problem, but we lack the manpower and systems to manage international branches. The United States isn't just one country but a federation of 50 states. Focusing solely on that market is already a challenge. To launch immediately, we would need to establish a joint venture. Launching independently by establishing a corporation has the advantage of keeping all the profits, but it would take several more years to achieve. Milo nodded. Yes. We've had similar discussions in the UK and Japan. In Korea, we've been contacted by Wright, Shinseki, SPD and others besides MCK. Wright and Shinseki are among the top 10 conglomerates, with large distribution networks encompassing department stores, supermarkets and shopping malls. SPD is a franchise specialist company with decades of experience operating various brands. If we were to establish a joint venture, which of these companies would be the best partner? As always, since I'm not well versed in these matters, I decided to ask an expert. I called CEO Imsumi. Hello, CEO Kong Jin-Hu. It's not a big deal, but I have a question for you. Yes, please ask. I explained the situation and then asked, which of these companies would be the best to partner with? Imsumi replied as if there was no need to think it over. In my opinion, M-Pizza partners with Salon Hotel to enter the Korean market. Silicon Valley's innovative pizza arrives in Korea. Pizza made by robots. You can now eat it in Korea too. M-Pizza So Milo expresses delight at meeting Korean consumers. Salon Hotel So Imsumi declares intention to make M-Pizza the best pizza franchise in Korea. The articles are out already. Opening the article, I could see a photo of CEO Imsumi and Milo signing the contract and shaking hands. The joint venture's ownership was split 50-50. The initial capital was 80 billion won. Despite being a food service business, the capital was large because of the high initial investment costs, such as installing conveyor belts and robots in stores and introducing oven trucks and oven bikes. When distribution companies with department stores or supermarkets enter the franchise business, they usually start by opening locations in their own buildings. Salon Hotel doesn't have department stores or supermarkets, but it does have the luxury Salon Hotel and the business hotel Salon Stay. CEO Imsumi plans to open the first location at the Salon Hotel in Namsan, and then gradually introduce it to Salon Stay locations nationwide. For now, they plan to increase the number of directly managed stores rather than franchises. Despite not actively recruiting franchisees, franchise inquiries poured in from everywhere. The flagship store will be located at the Salon Hotel in Namsan. Consumers welcomed the news of M-Pizza's entry into Korea with open arms. Oh, awesome. M-Pizza is finally coming to Korea. Is it good? Isn't all pizza the same? What are you talking about? M-Pizza is like the iPhone of smartphones or Shake Shack of hamburgers. The taste is on a different level compared to Dice Pizza or Pizza Hut. I want to try it because it's made by robots. It's so cool. How will they do delivery in Korea? It'll be hard for oven trucks to navigate. They'll probably use oven bikes like in New York. They won't deliver from the Salon Hotel flagship store, right? Will they come to the Salon Hotel in Jeju? Are they not taking franchise inquiries? I want to open one. On the other hand, pizza franchises facing a powerful new competitor were all on high alert. Meister Pizza was created by benchmarking M-Pizza. However, they only copied the taste and failed to replicate the core elements like the robots and oven delivery. But now the real M-Pizza is coming to Korea. Salon Hotel immediately began construction on the M-Pizza flagship store. I toured the interior with CEO Im Sumi. Engineers from M-Pizza in the US installed conveyor belts, robotic arms and monitors. It looked less like a kitchen and more like a manufacturing plant. When an order comes in, it's automatically sent to the screens in the kitchen, and the robots recognize which pizza needs to be made. When a person stretches the dough and puts it on the conveyor belt, a robotic arm sprays and spreads the tomato sauce, puts it in the oven, takes it out and performs its designated role. It's quite a fascinating sight to see in person. We're thinking of making it an open kitchen in the center of the store, so people at the tables can watch the robots moving and making pizzas. The Salon Hotel flagship store will not offer delivery and will only operate as a dine-in location. What CEO Im Sumi focused on most was the wine. She personally selected wines that pair well with pizza and put them on the menu. There are some high-priced wines, but most are mid to low-priced wines in the 30,000 to 50,000 won range. It's aimed at the younger demographic, Im Sumi said confidently. The opening of M-Pizza will be a big help in attracting young and family customers. Will it be successful? Of course. It's not just the taste, but the fact that it's robot-cooked pizza is an excellent marketing point. The response on the internet and social media is already explosive. Franchise inquiries are pouring in. We moved to the coffee shop on the second floor of the hotel. Im Sumi took a sip of her coffee and asked, "What are your plans for Meister Pizza?" "I'm not sure yet. I'm still thinking about what the best course of action is. M-Pizza will shake up the Korean pizza market just like it did in the US. Meister Pizza, being a latecomer, will be directly hit the hardest. This is strictly business and we need to hold them accountable for what happened before. The stage for resolving things amicably has already passed." I said to CEO Im Sumi. "Rather than that, can I make a suggestion about employee recruitment?" "Yes, please do." After hearing my suggestion, she readily nodded. "Of course. We'll proceed with that according to your suggestion." Kim Jae-hak got the title of the first franchise location. The Meister Pizza location number 15, which he had been running until a few days ago, closed down. When they looked to open a new store in its place, the location wasn't good and the space was too small. So OTK Company bought the building directly across from Meister Pizza. The first floor had been vacant for months, and a bedding store was doing a temporary pop-up business, so there weren't any significant issues in starting construction immediately. I looked around the construction site with Kim Jae-hak. As expected, the engineers from the US were hard at work. The oven bikes and oven trucks are also on their way to Korea. Oven delivery is a core component of M-Pizza. Because of this, delivery drivers will all be hired as full-time employees, not part-timers. This will be the case for other locations as well. Kim Jae-hak looked at the much larger space compared to his previous store and asked me, "Are you sure I deserve this much help? It's not like we're just giving it away, we're lending it to you. I don't feel like I've done much to deserve this kind of treatment." I thought back to that day. Even though quite some time had passed, it felt as vivid as if it were yesterday. Haven't you ever wondered? Wondered what? What it would have been like if our positions had been reversed that day at the training grounds. He was the one who loaded the shell. If I had been in his position, I wouldn't have been able to avoid it, even if I had seen the premonition. Accidents can happen to anyone. Losing his leg wasn't his fault. So hang in there. Good things will come. Kim Jae-hak smiled. "Thanks, Jin-hoo," I said jokingly. "If you're thankful, work hard and pay back every penny." Just like in manufacturing, economies of scale also apply to franchising. Because of this, MCK Group was putting all its efforts into opening new Meister Pizza locations. Fortunately, the number of franchisees was steadily increasing, and they were confident they could open an additional 50 stores within the year at this pace. However, when the news of M-Pizza's entry into the Korean market broke, franchise inquiries suddenly stopped. There were even instances of contracts being cancelled right before signing. The emergence of a strong competitor franchise made prospective business owners hesitate and weigh their options. Chairman Choi Dae-ho of MCK Group was flustered. M-Pizza was currently focused on the U.S. market. When he had visited, they were holding off on overseas expansion. But why did they suddenly enter Korea? Korea has one of the highest rates of self-employment among OECD countries, and the food service industry in particular is fiercely competitive, making it a less attractive market. He had anticipated that they would expand to larger markets with bigger populations and economies like Europe or Japan first, so he expected it would take considerable time before they entered Korea. He had been trying to establish a solid foundation in the meantime, but they had partnered with Ceylon Hotel and made a surprise entry. While he was trying to understand the situation, an employee working at Meister Pizza headquarters reported a shocking fact. After hearing the report, Choi Dae-ho was so surprised that he immediately called his son. A little later, when Choi Myung-ho entered the chairman's office, he asked directly, "I heard Kang Jin-woo came about a franchisee matter?" Choi Myung-ho frowned. Damn it. Who told him? He had no choice but to explain the situation at the time. Of course, he left out the part about the verbal abuse and grabbing the collar. A franchisee came to complain and Kang Jin-woo showed up and took him away? Yes. What's the relationship between the two of them? Well, the franchisee was Kang Jin-woo's senior in the military. Choi Dae-ho roared. Why are you telling me this now? Choi Myung-ho said defensively. I didn't know. How would he know who a franchisee's military junior was? It's not like the guy went around advertising that he served with Kang Jin-woo. Choi Dae-ho was meticulously overseeing all aspects of the business, acting on behalf of his still young son. He was also the one who instructed them to open a directly managed store across the street. Did the franchisee ask Kang Jin-woo for help and that's why he brought M-Pizza to Korea? Is he trying to kill Meister Pizza? He thought the possibility was low, but the timing was exactly right. MCK Group is a publicly traded company on the Kosdaq with 5 subsidiaries. Its market capitalization is about 500 billion won, making it one of the top 3 franchise companies in the industry, excluding major conglomerates. However, compared to OTK Company, it's like a neighborhood chicken shop. Who's Kang Jin-woo? He's a hero who saved the United States from an earthquake and is the wealthiest person in the world, surpassing even South Korea. More importantly, no one who has gone up against Kang Jin-woo has ever come out on top. Han Min-gu, chairman of the second-largest conglomerate in Korea, resigned in disgrace. The director of the National Intelligence Service and the prosecutor general were fired, and Hosong Savings Bank went bankrupt. Even a former president is currently imprisoned and awaiting trial. Choi Dae-ho felt cold sweat trickling down his back. What bad luck to run into Kang Jin-woo of all people. I had a separate meeting with the franchisees of Master Chicken and Meister Pizza. It was Kim Jae-hak who gathered these people. Taekyu and Ellie also joined the meeting. Before coming to the meeting, Ellie meticulously reviewed Korea's Fair Trade Act and Franchise Business Act, as well as various related laws. Once the franchisees sat down, no one spoke easily. They were worried that saying something might cause disadvantages from the headquarters. In principle, the relationship between the headquarters and franchisees is a partnership. If the headquarters does well, the franchisees do well and vice versa. However, when the headquarters starts to abuse its power, it turns into a hostage situation. If you try to subdue the hostage taker, the hostage is put in danger beforehand. Therefore, the hostage has no choice but to cooperate, even though they know the hostage taker is bad. In reality, if problems arise with the brand and a boycott occurs, the franchisees, not the headquarters, are the ones who suffer the most. If they were able to make a decent living from running their franchises, they wouldn't have come to this meeting in the first place. I looked around at them and said, I'll take responsibility if any issues arise from this. And if you close your store, I'll help you get a job at M-Pizza or open an M-Pizza franchise. So please feel free to speak openly. At my words, the franchisees began to speak up one by one. Franchises have so-called essential items that they must purchase exclusively from the headquarters or designated suppliers. It is natural for the headquarters to supply ingredients to maintain uniformity in taste and quality across all locations. The problem here is twofold. One is that they are forced to purchase items that have nothing to do with quality solely from the headquarters, and the other is that the prices are ridiculously high. It's somewhat understandable for essential ingredients like seasoned chicken, dough, and various sauces to be supplied by the headquarters. But even products that can be easily obtained on the open market, such as boxes, chopsticks, tissues, plastic bags, and cooking oil, must be bought from the headquarters. Unlike individual stores, franchise headquarters can make bulk purchases, allowing them to buy below wholesale prices. Nevertheless, the goods they supply to franchisees are more expensive than market prices. Of course, they come up with all sorts of reasons such as differences in quality and processing costs. But franchisees have no idea why the prices are 1.5 to over 2 times higher than wholesale. As one person started talking, it was like a floodgate opened. All sorts of cases of abuse of power poured out. Do you know how many containers of cooking oil a chicken restaurant uses in a day? But the price of cooking oil is really too high. You can buy it for 10,000 won at the supermarket, but we have to buy it for 17,000 won from the supplier. They hand out umbrellas and calendars for marketing, and make the franchisees pay for all the costs. They collect advertising fees every season, but isn't this originally something the headquarters should be responsible for? They make a huge stack of flyers and hand them over before charging us for them. I didn't even distribute them all and threw them in the recycling bin. If business seems to be doing well, the headquarters comes and keeps forcing us to renovate. Renovations can only be done through contractors the headquarters has contracts with, and the costs are unbelievable. When I said I couldn't afford it, they told me to take out a loan. Ellie said with a look of disbelief. They really do everything imaginable. But there's one company that keeps coming up. MCK Wholesale. MCK Wholesale is a subsidiary of MCK Group that exclusively supplies ingredients to all the franchises within the group. Seasoned chicken and sauces for Master Chicken and dough, cheese and toppings for Meister Pizza. All pass through MCK Wholesale before reaching the franchisees. The largest shareholder is Choi Myung-ho, who owns a whopping 87% of the shares. The name is wholesale, but the prices rival or exceed retail prices. In fact, it's no exaggeration to say they've grown by bleeding the franchisees dry. So far so good. But thinking about it, there's one strange thing. Why didn't the headquarters run this profitable business directly? Their profits would have been much higher. This is embezzlement, right? Ellie nodded. It's clear embezzlement. It's like MCK Wholesale is pocketing the profits that should have gone to MCK Group. That means MCK Group shareholders have suffered losses. It's also a violation of the Fair Trade Act. Inserting a distribution company in the middle like this to collect a toll is a common tactic used by Korean conglomerates. Anyway, they've learned all the bad tricks. Verbal abuse or assault can be appealed to public opinion, but the penalties are weak. In the case of simple assault, they don't even file charges if there's an agreement. However, embezzlement can lead to imprisonment depending on the amount. If we investigate, I bet we'll find embezzlement too. While we were in the middle of talking, team leader Young Jae-hong came in and reported to me in a low voice. The CEO of Meister Pizza is here to see you. Why would Choi Myung-ho come all the way here? I had a rough idea of why he came. I was about to tell them to just send him back, but then I looked at Kim Jae-hak next to me and changed my mind. Tell him I'm in a meeting and he'll have to wait. Understood. After team leader Young Jae-hong left, I continued to listen to the franchisees. Franchises definitely have their advantages. From the perspective of the founder, they can receive the business methods and recipes of an already verified company, and they don't have to worry about purchasing ingredients and such individually. The headquarters is also responsible for interior design, advertising, and marketing. The headquarters helps with opening franchise locations and receives franchise fees, training fees, store interior costs, etc. On top of that, they secure profits again through royalties and various commissions, as well as by adding a margin to the materials they exclusively supply. The problem is when the headquarters extracts excessive profits from existing franchisees or focuses solely on attracting new franchisees. The prices of chicken and pizza continued to soar, but the actual amount of money the franchisees could pocket was minimal. While the franchisees were dying inside their small stores, the headquarters grew bigger day by day. MCK Group's profit margin reaches 20%. Considering that the profit margin of most franchises is below 10%, this is nearly double the figure. But absurdly, both the sales and profits of the franchisees are declining. That's because while the headquarters sales increase as the number of branches grows from the franchisee's perspective, it's like a competitor is being created nearby, so a drop in sales is unavoidable. In addition, if the selling price goes up, sales volume decreases, and the cost of materials supplied by the headquarters only goes up and never comes down. However, it's difficult to protest properly. They could face various disadvantages or have their contracts terminated. These people didn't jump into self-employment with the mindset of making a killing. If they had other ways to make a living, they wouldn't have chosen the path of opening a franchise in the first place. In short, MCK Group is engaging in abuse of power by holding the livelihoods of its franchisees hostage. After listening to everything I said to the franchisees, I've heard what you've said. I will definitely ensure these issues are improved. They said earnestly. We sincerely ask for your help. The franchisees got up and Ellie also returned to the office. After leaving the conference room, I went down to the meeting room with Taekyu and Kim Jae-hak. Taekyu asked, "Who came to see you?" "Chai Myung-ho." Kim Jae-hak's expression seemed to stiffen slightly at my words. "There's nothing to worry about." When I entered, Chai Myung-ho, who was sitting in the meeting room, jumped up from his seat. However, he was taken aback when he saw Taekyu and Kim Jae-hak following me in. I sat down and said, "What brings you here?" Well, I wanted to apologize for what happened last time. I'm sorry. Unlike when I first saw him at school, he looked like a docile lamb. I threw the documents I was holding in front of Chai Myung-ho. "It's a good thing you came. I did some research on MCK Group after that day and you've been doing quite well for yourselves. Putting a supplier called MCK Wholesale in the middle to tack on a toll, passing all the costs of discount events onto the franchisees, unfairly collecting advertising and promotional fees, conducting hygiene inspections or unilaterally terminating contracts for franchisees who didn't listen. It looks like some of the interior design and promotional costs were received into shadow accounts. I think there are more than a few charges we could file, including embezzlement, breach of trust, and tax evasion. What do you think?" Chai Myung-ho scanned the documents with a shocked expression. When people are cornered, their true nature comes out. He couldn't hold back and shouted, "Why are you doing this to me? What did I do so wrong to you, senior?" His expression and voice were full of resentment. Anyone who didn't know the situation would think he was the victim. And he probably truly believed that. I nodded. "That's right. You didn't particularly do anything wrong to me. So why are you saying sorry to me? The person you really need to ask for forgiveness from is someone else." Chai Myung-ho's gaze turned towards Kim Jae-hak. Everything was revealed in his hesitant expression. If he had even a little bit of remorse, he would have gone to Kim Jae-hak instead of me. In Chai Myung-ho's mind, I am a powerful person with a lot of money. Therefore he can bow his head and apologize to me as much as needed. However, Kim Jae-hak, being a franchisee, is weak. So he could think about apologizing to me but not about apologizing to Kim Jae-hak. He's the typical type who is weak to the strong and strong to the weak. Well, there are bound to be people like that in the world. Judging by his expression, there's no need to say any more. Just drop out of school. I got up from my seat and Chai Myung-ho, with his eyes bulging out, lunged at me. "You son of a bitch, Kong Jin-hoo." Before I could even react in surprise, Kim Jae-hak, who was next to me, moved first. Whack. Ugh. Kim Jae-hak's fist landed squarely on his solar plexus. Having taken an unexpected blow, Chai Myung-ho collapsed onto the spot. I looked at Kim Jae-hak. He looked surprised and flustered, as if he was surprised himself. Right. He was a person with a bit of a temper originally. I'm glad to see his old self again. I patted his shoulder. "You did very well," Taekyu said. "It is the way of the world that people who commit sins receive punishment. Do you understand? From now on, I'm going to give you your punishment, so accept it willingly." What the heck is this all of a sudden? Taekyu had a look of exhilaration on his face. I really wanted to say that line. "Stop it already. You can't live your life doing everything you want to do." We reported the data collected from the franchisees to the press and also filed a lawsuit with the prosecution. At this point, another incident erupted. When a franchisee, unable to endure the headquarters' abuse of power, terminated his franchise agreement and switched to a private chicken restaurant, Master Chicken opened a large directly operated store right in front of it. It was essentially retaliatory opening. Eventually, the franchisee, driven to the brink of bankruptcy again, couldn't bear it and took his own life. Compared to this, it was minor, but it was also revealed that Chairman Chai Dae-ho habitually assaulted his security guard and driver. Public opinion was boiling. They keep raising chicken prices and charge extra for delivery, and now it turns out they were stabbing their franchisees in the back. Franchisees are hit with retaliatory openings, security guards are hit with fists, and drivers are kicked. At this point, he could probably go head-to-head with Conor McGregor in the octagon. Not sure about the punches, but their personalities are equally terrible. Both are trash. Let's not order from Betrayal Chicken. The comment above is right. Not buying is the answer. It's also a problem that people only like brand-name chicken. Let's support local chicken restaurants from now on. There are also many chicken franchises that coexist with their franchisees. I'm just going to buy whole chickens and fry them myself. MCK Group Chairman Chai Dae-ho stepped forward to apologize, but the situation showed no signs of calming down. The prosecution conducted a search and seizure of MCK Group. As the situation became more serious, MCK Wholesale announced that it would lower the supply prices of essential items such as seasoned chicken, dough, and cheese, but it was already too late. The backlash from franchisees intensified, and the number of existing franchisees leaving also increased. The situation was even more severe for Meister Pizza, with franchise inquiries completely ceasing. There were too many charges and public opinion was so bad that the prosecution eventually arrested Chairman Chai Dae-ho. Chai Myung-ho avoided arrest, but was under investigation without detention. The construction of the M Pizza flagship store was completed, and it was just awaiting its opening. The dough, cheese, and sauce were all supplied by the U.S. headquarters, and the remaining ingredients were procured independently. As Salon Hotel operates buffets and restaurants in its various hotels, procuring ingredients for one or two branches was not a problem. Later, as the number of branches increases, they will need to increase the number of suppliers accordingly. The store located in Salon Hotel does not offer delivery but does offer room service. The Salon State Business Hotel locations will offer delivery as well. Teo Im Sumi announced that she would prioritize hiring veterans wounded in service while recruiting store managers and administrators for the directly operated stores. They welcomed those with disabilities such as amputations or burns. Furthermore, a portion of the sales would be used to help with the treatment and rehabilitation of wounded veterans. When a reporter pointed out that customers using the store might feel uncomfortable, Teo Im Sumi stated firmly, "People who feel uncomfortable with that don't have to come." The internet was filled with praise. "Oh, she said if you're uncomfortable, don't come." Sumi's Nuna's got guts. So cool. Look at the rudeness of that reporter. People with disabilities are uncomfortable. Why would the people looking at them be uncomfortable? I don't like Samsung Group, but this is a really good thing. What has the country done for the soldiers who were injured while serving the nation? I heard Kong Jin who suggested this to Teo Im Sumi. As expected of someone who served in active duty, he knows what's what. Give soldiers proper compensation. As criticism poured in, the news outlet quietly took down the article. In most Korean franchises, it was customary to have low royalties or none at all, and instead place high margins on ingredients and subsidiary materials, and collect money under the guise of events and marketing. However, M Pizza decided to operate primarily on royalties, just like in the US. They also planned to minimize the essential items supplied by the headquarters and set prices reasonably. They also allowed franchisees to form an association so they could negotiate with the headquarters on an equal footing. When this fact became known, franchise inquiries poured in like a flood. Finally, the M Pizza flagship store opened in the Namsan Salon Hotel. Teo Im Sumi, as well as Chairman Im Jin-young, attended the opening ceremony. "I never imagined we would be collaborating on pizza." Indeed. It just happened that way. Max flew in from M Pizza headquarters in place of Milo, who had scheduling conflicts. As expected, it had been a while since we last met, so we greeted each other warmly. In addition to them, Hyunju Nuna, Ali, and senior Sang Yip and Henry also attended. Surprisingly, the U.S. ambassador also came. It was to celebrate the entry of an American franchise into Korea. President Ronald also posted a picture on Twitter of himself with White House staff holding M Pizza, along with the message, Congratulations on M-Pizza's entry into Korea. We expect the healthy pizza made with American flour and cheese to capture the taste buds of Koreans. U.S. Ambassador Thomas Jang, being a Korean American, spoke fluent Korean. Personally, I really like pizza, but are there any plans for a branch near Gwangwamun? Sumi smiled and said, we are planning to open a directly operated store at Ceylon State in that area. Oh, that's welcome news. I'll have to tell the embassy staff. After the participants stood in a row and did the ribbon-cutting ceremony, customer entry finally began. The line, which had started forming the evening before, was already long. The first customer was a man in his early 30s who came up from Busan, saying he couldn't forget the taste of M-Pizza he had experienced during his studies abroad and took the KTX to come. With the influx of customers, the conveyor belts and robots in the kitchen were working non-stop, churning out pizzas. The line was so long that it would take more than 5 hours to wait to eat in the store. Some people eventually gave up and just got takeout, while others booked rooms at the Ceylon Hotel and ordered room service. Sumi personally toured the store, checking customer reactions and if there were any inconveniences with the service. We took a seat and ate pizza and drank wine. Wine glasses clinked lightly. Ellie said, there are a lot more customers than I expected. Hyunju Nuna nodded. It's not just the taste, but the image of being an innovative pizza born in Silicon Valley has really hit the mark. Compared to existing pizzas, the price isn't significantly different, but since people can experience greater taste and image, they are willingly opening their wallets. I ate my pizza and watched the robotic arms and conveyor belts moving in the open kitchen. They moved accurately without an inch of error, spreading sauce on the dough, putting it in and taking it out of the oven. Other customers also looked at the kitchen with amazed expressions and took pictures enthusiastically. Today there will be a lot of photos with the M-Pizza hashtag on social media. Someday when robots making pizza becomes commonplace, won't people start looking for pizza made by humans? Following the main branch of Ceylon Hotel, its first franchise location also opened. The second store wasn't in a bustling area like Gangnam or Hongdae, but rather in downtown Payu. I visited the store with CEO Sumi. Even though it was past lunchtime, the line was long. If you joined the queue now, wouldn't it take 3 or 4 hours? Perhaps they were all out on deliveries. The oven bikes and oven trucks that should have been in front of the store were nowhere to be seen. Kim Jae-hak walking around the store looked brighter than ever. His leg being slightly disabled was no problem at all. Only after quite some time did he spot me and greet me happily. Kang Jin-hoo. You must be busy, why did you come all the way here? Looking at the store packed with customers and the long line outside, I said, I wanted to buy a pizza, but I can't even place an order. Sumi smiled and said, congratulations on your first store, Mr. Kim. Kim Jae-hak looked embarrassed at her words. Ah, thank you. She took something out of her bag and handed it to me. This is a grand opening gift. Come by with your parents on your day off. The gift she gave me was a Ceylon Hotel accommodation voucher and a buffet coupon. We exited through the back door so as not to attract the attention of the customers. You don't smoke. I'm trying to quit. If I smell like cigarettes, the customers won't like it, right? Good for you. His mindset seemed different from before, which was nice to see. Now all that's left is to work hard and pay off the debt. That too, but there's one more thing you need to do. Kim Jae-hak looked puzzled at my words. What is it? Won Group is a chaebol group ranked 9th in terms of business scale in Korea. It originated as S50 Corporation, handling the management and manufacturing of explosives under the U.S. military administration after liberation, and then experienced explosive growth thanks to the special circumstances of the Vietnam War. What followed was similar to other chaebol groups. It expanded its business areas across the board beyond its main business of defense industry. And now its business is diversified into insurance, construction, and finance. Chairman An Hyun-sung of Won Group held an executive meeting at the headquarters. The agenda was the future business strategy of Won Construction. Like Unsung Construction, Won Construction grew significantly through the Middle East boom and was still actively involved in construction activities there. However, the volume of construction projects in the Middle East was gradually decreasing due to the combination of low oil prices and local political instability. Fortunately, the dramatic conclusion of the nuclear negotiations between the United States and Iran was expected to open a new path. Iran is not only the second largest market in the Middle East after Saudi Arabia but also has a population of over 80 million. Due to long-term sanctions, urban infrastructure including buildings was dilapidated, raising expectations for another Middle East boom. Wan Construction had completed all preparations in anticipation of the opening of a huge market. But suddenly a problem arose. It was Ronald's move to bring up the renegotiation card, arguing that the previous administration's nuclear agreement was flawed. Naturally, Iran strongly protested, but the international sanctions were likely to remain in place for the time being. They would have to weather the storm with the projects they had already secured, but the immediate problem was starting this year. Moreover, an unexpected disaster occurred last year in this situation. The big one. The massive earthquake completely devastated the San Francisco Bay Area. When reconstruction begins, massive construction projects will take place to build several new megacities. Construction companies worldwide were paying attention to this, and Wan Construction was no exception. It was a good opportunity to take a leap forward, but the outlook was not very bright. This was because Wan Construction had no experience in winning bids in the US, and the group as a whole had a weak sales network there. Everyone gathered there had the same thought. Should we build a closer relationship with Kang Jin-Hu after all? He had played a significant role in preparing for the big one and was supplying the US government with a massive amount of raw materials he had purchased beforehand. He also owned Arsit, a British design and engineering firm. As such, he was bound to play a key role in the reconstruction project. Chairman Ahn Hyun-sung recalled the young man in his 20s he had briefly seen before. Back then he had considered him a lucky upstart who had made some money. He's grown this much in the meantime. While the meeting was in progress, the secretary entered. Instantly, everyone's eyes turned to her. Chairman Ahn Hyun-sung frowned slightly at the sudden disruption of the meeting's atmosphere. What is it? You have a visitor. He preferred to operate according to a fixed schedule like a soldier. Therefore, he tended to avoid unscheduled meetings. Tell them to make an appointment and come back later. The secretary calmly said, It's an important guest. I think you should see him. Who is it? It's CEO Kang Jin-Hu of OTK Company. At those words, Chairman Ahn Hyun-sung as well as the executives were taken aback. CEO Kang Jin-Hu has come to see me? Yes, sir. Whatever the reason, it was a good opportunity. Let's end the meeting here. Chairman Ahn Hyun-sung got up from his seat. Although a staff member offered to guide me to the reception room, I sat down to wait in the lobby. Having nothing else to do, I sat and observed the company. The employees, dressed neatly in black suits like uniforms, walked around at a brisk pace. Watching them, it was clear that each company had a slightly different atmosphere. Samsung Group felt more free-spirited, while Wan Group felt systematic and organized. Perhaps it was due to the differences in their core businesses and the nature of their work. Some employees recognized me and were surprised. Not long after I started waiting, Chairman Ahn Hyun-sung came down to the lobby himself. He was in his early 50s, but he looked much older than his age in person. His hairline had receded significantly into an M shape, almost reaching the crown of his head, and deep wrinkles were etched on his forehead, suggesting he frowned often. Chairman Ahn Hyun-sung had led the group since his 20s due to the sudden death of his predecessor. Perhaps because of that, he exuded a strong charisma. This wasn't our first meeting. We had seen each other briefly at President Ronald's meeting. Back then we had just exchanged polite greetings. Chairman Ahn Hyun-sung saw me and opened his arms wide in greeting. Oh. Welcome CEO Kang Jin-Hu. Hello. There's no need to stand here, let's go upstairs. We went up to his office. Looking out the window I said, the view of Uido is nice. You can see the Han River at a glance. Chairman Ahn Hyun-sung laughed heartily. Haha. Looking at the flowing river often helps organize complicated thoughts. The secretary brought coffee and I sat facing Chairman Ahn Hyun-sung. Like other chaebol leaders, he had been in the news for causing social controversy and had faced several trials. As expected of a chaebol, he had gotten away with suspended sentences each time. I was thinking of having a drink with CEO Kang Jin-Hu sometime. What brings you here? There are a few things I wanted to discuss. He smiled affably and leaned forward. What kind of things? I took a sip of coffee and said, Do you remember the KM-188 explosion accident? It was caused by a defective product supplied by Wan Precision Chemicals during training. At my words, The smile on Chairman On Hyun-sung's face faltered, replaced by a look of bewilderment. He surely wouldn't be unaware of it. The incident had shaken up the Defense Acquisition Program Administration and led to an investigation into overall defense procurement irregularities, even resulting in the arrest of the former Chief of Naval Operations. At the time, all of Won Precision Chemicals' planned overseas exports were cancelled, and all the already delivered items had to be recalled. One person died and another was injured in that incident. And I recently learned that the soldier who lost his leg was compensated with a mere 50 million won. Are you aware of this as well? For reference, the bereaved family of the warrant officer who died was compensated with 100 million won. Even that was arranged by high-ranking officers. Chairman On Hyun-sung looked at me and asked, why is Seo Kong-jin concerned about that matter? He was asking why I would take an interest in another company's affairs. I gave him an answer he could understand. I was at the training ground when the KM-188 exploded. The person who lost his leg that day was my direct superior. I was lucky enough to be in the back, so I survived. In other words, I was almost killed by the defective mortar shell supplied by Won Precision Chemicals. Chairman On Hyun-sung's expression hardened. Looking back, I was really lucky. If I had been unlucky, I could have died or lost limbs. Is that true? I nodded. If you need it, I can even get my medical records from the military hospital. Well, you probably know many people in the Ministry of National Defense, so you could check it yourself. He looked perplexed. He probably didn't know we had this kind of connection. Silence hung in the air for a moment. Chairman On Hyun-sung kept his mouth firmly shut, seemingly deep in thought. Well, I don't intend to publicize or make an issue of what happened back then. I understand that unlike other chaebol families, the people of Won Group faithfully fulfill their military service obligations. Since you also served as an officer, Mr. Chairman, I believe you are well aware of the realities faced by soldiers in our country. Since Won Group has grown through the defense industry, how about taking this opportunity to do something meaningful? What do you have in mind? I had thought about this and discussed it with Chairman Im Jin-young before coming here. After hearing my proposal, he looked troubled. This isn't a problem that can be easily decided. I stood up from my seat. If you decline, OTK Company and Samsung Group will proceed separately. Then I'll be going. At that, Chairman On Hyun-sung also stood up. Oh, come on. Don't say such disappointing things. I'll gladly do it. OTK Company, Samsung Group, and Won Group established joint foundation, supporting compensation, rehabilitation, treatment and reemployment for military and police personnel injured or killed in the line of duty. Chairman On Hyun-sung of Won Group expresses joy at being able to support the military and police who have dedicated themselves to the nation. Chairman Im Jin-young of Samsung Group plans to gradually expand the scale of support in the future. Whether they liked it or not, now that they had decided to spend the money, Seosung Group and Won Group diligently promoted the establishment of the foundation to boost their corporate image. Public reaction was, of course, positive. Well, for once, Korean companies are doing something good. If you get injured while serving compulsorily, you should at least get proper treatment. I wonder if it applies to those who have already been discharged? I injured my shoulder in the military and still can't use my left arm properly. Don't just leave it to corporations, the government should provide support too. What do they do with our taxes anyway? That's why I don't pay taxes. Such a brag, dude. Salon Hotel's Japanese restaurant. Taekyu and I arrived first and ordered, and then Hyunju Nuna and Ellie arrived shortly after. Hi, we're here. Ellie looked cheerful, but Hyunju Nuna looked tired as always. Are you still very busy these days? It's always the same. Taekyu said, Nuna, your dark circles are going to reach your chin at this rate. Shut up. We ate sashimi and drank sake. Hyunju Nuna took off her glasses and rubbed her eyes. You know the political scene is turbulent these days, right? Yes. It's not like the political scene is ever quiet, but it's been particularly noisy lately. As you know, OTK Company has become too big. It seems like the political circles are keeping a close eye on it. Taekyu, who was diligently picking up sashimi, asked, Now that the government has changed, isn't it okay? Hyunju Nuna replied coldly, Just because our relationship with the conservative government wasn't good doesn't mean it's good with the progressive government. That's true. Unlike my close ties with Washington's political circles, I have no connections whatsoever with the Korean political scene. This is also because I deliberately avoided it. I had been rejecting all requests for meetings from politicians. However, even after the change of government, politicians continued to seek me out, and among them were quite a few lawmakers from the New Politics Party and people from the Blue House. Why do they keep trying to meet me? Ellie said, they know what happened to the last administration, surely they won't do anything unnecessary, right? Hyunju Nuna took a sip of sake and gave a wry smile at my words. That's because you don't know Korean politicians.